Welcome back to the garage, and on this episode we're going to be fitting a LED angel eye to the BMW S1000R. It's going to go here. You have to excuse the mess of the bike at the moment, it needs a good wash, but we'll do this job while I've got the day off, why not? So the first job is going to be to remove the screen. These 3 bolts here, T20, then we have to get this shroud off, but to do that I need to get the side pieces off as well. So it's all with the T20. Let's make a start on that. Right, so that's the screen off. Now we take off the red side panels. There's a screw at the top, again, T20. It's a bit dry, that one, so there's a bit of copper pressure on when it goes back in. So there's this one. So once you've disconnected the screws, the actual indicator panel just clips on. A little bit fiddlier for me because I've got these power bronze hand guards to deal with, but got around that. And you disconnect the wiring, just unplug your indicator, and that's your side panel off. Exactly the same for the other side. There we go, job done. Next job is to remove the headlight plastic shroud here. There's 1, 2, 3 T20 bolts on this one. Let's get them off. Right then. And then this one under here, can't get the screwdriver in because of the mud guard, so we use a smaller T20. There we go, that's that off. So now this unit should just slide forward. Let's see. There we go. That is the headlight unit off, the headlight shroud. We're now left with the main beam and the driving light. So I'm going to get a cloth, I'm going to give this a quick wipe around so we're nice and clean, and then we'll start with sticking the LED ring here, and we're going to tap into these wires here for that. Let's go and get a cloth and give it a wipe. Right, so I've given that a good wipe up now. Offered in the LED into position, and on mine, I'm not sure if you can see that on that camera, but there's some little plastic lugs here which is stopping it sitting flush. So I'm just going to take me side cutters and just cut those straight off. So I'm going to mount mine this way, with the wires sitting about here. The reason for that is, you'll see when I put the shroud back on, it's at an angle here, so it will cover that bit over where the wires go, and we should be left with all of this on display. That's the theory anyway. So before we do any of that, we need to wire it into the wiring connector, which is for this bulb here. So I'm going to disconnect this bulb, because I don't need it now, because this is the daytime running bulb, an LED one. And I'm replacing the daylight running bulb with the angel eye as my daylight running bulb. So the wiring connector is here, just underneath, as you can see that. Right, so I've disconnected the wiring connector. Just got to unplug it now. It's a bit of a fiddly one, that. And then you're left with the wiring for the headlight bulb, which is up there. So the way I'm going to wire this is, I'm going to reveal a bit more cable for both of these. I'm going to feed it inside the connector and put the connector back together, so that way when I can sell the bike I can disconnect it all and I haven't affected any of the original wiring. Right, so what I've done there is put the wires from the end of the angel eye into the original connector. It's a bit fiddly, you can't really see a lot in there, so I took a picture to show you. I'll put up on the screen now. There we go. Hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tape over that connector. It's all nice and snug. And then the connector can go back on its mount, which is just here. And then we can get on with the next phase. So that slides back onto there. Like that. Right, so that's the wiring nice and neat and tidy out of the way now. Right then, so what I've done, because the inside of the light is recessed, is I've snipped a little section here for the wires to come out flush, and I've packed it full of sticky back foam in the recess. So I'm just going to take these end pieces off and then stick her on. Hopefully this is the final bit now. Right, so with the sticky back foam that I put inside the recess, I've now pressed it on, and there we go, that's on. The wires go neatly behind here, and with another piece of sticky back foam just here, you can't quite see that. Can you see there? I put the controller for the LED there, so all this wiring here is all nice and neat out of the way. And then I put the trowel back on. So that is essentially the finished article. So we'll just flip the key. There we go. Nice bright daytime running light angel eye. So I was going to rebuild the front end now, put the cowl back on, and we'll see what it's like after that. So refitting is obviously the reversal of removal. So first bit on is the cowl. So hopefully when this goes on now, we'll get a good impression of how the angel eye will sit inside that recessed light bit. There we go. Quite impressed with that. T20. Just do it up loose for now so you can get it all lined up. And then we'll give them a nip after it. Have a copper crest on that one. Not quite perfectly symmetrical, that, but it's just the way the light sits in the housing. There's not a great deal I can do about that. Side panels on next. Just remember when you put your side panels on, put your indicator wiring back in. Otherwise you have to take the whole thing off again. These just sit into, the lug sits in the bottom and it just clicks into place. Blob of the old copper crest on the bolt, just to hold that in. Same for the other side. Again, make sure your indicator wiring is back on. Very simple connector, just pushes in. This is a little bit trickier. That's it, in there, there we go. That's on. finally, just before we move on, put the screen on, make sure the indicators work. So left, yeah, right, yeah, hazards, yeah. Lovely job. Put the screen on, that is it. So there we go, that's how I fit an LED angel eye to a BMW S1000R. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the garage sometime soon. Ciao!